You know, when we think about planning or strategy in business, or when we hear the words corporate strategy or planning or annual planning, oftentimes even entrepreneurs, experienced entrepreneurs, automatically default to the Fortune 500 or larger companies. That's what they do. What I do over here is different. You know, they have corporate strategy and planning and all these things, and what we do over here is we make a difference. We have a vision that we're chasing. I'm really, you know, wanting to have a better business and grow and have an effect and make a living. And oftentimes, I think there's a miss here, and one of the reasons is so many of the strategies that are taught are contrary to how entrepreneurs think. So one of the planning strategies that I'm sure we've all run into at one point in time in our careers or another is the SWOT analysis. It's, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, if there's any left, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And what a team or entrepreneur is encouraged to do is take a sheet of paper and divide it into 4 sections and write strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and then brainstorm on each one. There's a fallacy in this strategy for entrepreneurs, and I don't mean to laugh at it because I think I offend some people because they've been doing it for so long. It's part of who they are in business. But if you really examine what are we doing when we look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, let's just isolate 2 sections, weaknesses and threats. For the best company in the world, let's just call it Apple Computer, one of the most valuable companies in the world, highly respected. There are more weaknesses and threats than there are strengths and opportunities. I know that people want to challenge me on this, but if we sat down and we said, you know, what really are the weaknesses and threats in Apple? Well, if you ask anybody at Dell, Apple doesn't have servers, they can't deliver a corporate product, they don't really understand the corporate infrastructure and environment, they only service the desktop and the end user. If you ask anybody in the cell phone industry, well, they have a limited number of SKUs and their technology is behind, and even though they come out with new products, they're behind other people's products. There's weakness and there's threat there. And if you looked at the notebook space, maybe they don't have enough SKUs, they don't have a convertible tablet, they don't have, you know, all these things that are their weaknesses and threats. This is only if you use the lens of weakness and threat, because everything I just described about Apple, with them not getting involved in these areas, not having these things, is actually a focus strategy and brand strength. But it's hard to keep focus strategy and brand strength moving forward like Apple has if you're constantly focused on weaknesses and threats. So as an entrepreneur, focusing on weaknesses and threats is going to put you in the wrong thought process. Here's what we know about running a business. If you focus on weaknesses and threats, that's all you'll see. Because on any given day, there are far more weaknesses and threats for a small business than there are strengths and opportunities. It's just how the world works. We have few strengths and few opportunities that we capitalize on, and we move forward in a business, especially in our client base. And then in the world at large, there's a ton of weaknesses and threats. Let's just capitalize on our strengths and opportunities, focus as hard as we can so we move forward. By making exhaustive lists of weaknesses and threats, we might be fixing issues that we never intended to fix. If Apple got into the server market, it would be disastrous. They did. It was called the X server. It lasted just a couple years. If Apple expanded their SKUs, it would be disastrous. They're highly focused and people know exactly what they get. They're the most respected company in the world. They focus on their strengths. It's clear. Look at their product line. When we look at companies that continue to expand wide and dilute what they do and dilute who they are, oftentimes I believe that that is driven by a focus on weakness and threat. Let's dilute, let's cover, let's do everything for everyone. Well, instead, let's look at strengths, opportunities exclusively. Not that we have rose-colored glasses on, but when planning, let's plan to move forward, let's put our energy where the momentum is, and let's really drive pace. Entrepreneurs think in forward motion. When we write down weaknesses and threats, that's not moving forward, and it's not the way that we solve how we grow. We solve how we grow by focusing on the positive. And so when an entrepreneur tells me they don't need strategy, or they don't understand strategy, or they don't want a strategy, we simply show them that entrepreneurial strategy is completely different than what they've been shown. And when we focus on both the entrepreneur's strengths and where they need support, and the team's strengths and where they need support, everything changes, businesses improve, but most importantly, the people working there grow, make a bigger impact, the business has a better outcome, and that is what we really believe running a company is all about.